guests tonight. We are lucky as always to have one of the co-producers of the show, and I have a story to tell you about her as well.
Yeah.
That look on her face right now, that's the look that says my friends are writers. Lauren lives on one of those corners in Oakland where people just dump shit. Everybody from Oakland, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
It looks like an eviction threw up on its way out, and that's usually what it is. Except, Lauren's corner is different. It's never the usual thing. It's always something that indicates that a very specific breakup has taken place. So like, it's a couple's entire collection of books on trying out polyamory. So one day, Lauren went out there, and she found a human rib cage. And being an enterprising young witch, she wasn't going to pass that up, so she took it home.
Nice.
And the next day there was a femur. And the next day there was just a bag of metatarsals. And the day after that there was a spine, disconnected but strong, so she didn't have to pick it up from all over the street. So little by little, she put together a human skeleton in her living room. And little by little, she started to look at it like it was a friend. And little by little, she thought, if this thing had a jawbone, it would speak. So the day that she found the skull, she went back in the house. She put the head on the skeleton. And the skeleton stretched as though it had been a long time and sort of adjusted here and there, because you can't put somebody else's bones together for them. And the skeleton looked at Lauren and said, "Does it get any better?" And she said, "No, but I have alcohol." The method of Lauren Parker's death will be, she will be utterly loved to death.
It's true.
Folk of Cliterary Salon, I give you Lauren Parker.
Thank you. Okay, I don't know how this is going to go, so. Back that, I make the next one. Great, thank you. Hi, everybody.
She's showing off how much taller she is than me.
We're good now. Thank you so much. Hi. I'm having a good night. Yeah. Thank you.
I like everything about you.
For those curious, the carpet does match the drapes. That's going to be the high point. This is going to be really fast. So everybody strap in. This is called the Gorgon. Just make me ugly, she says, gasping through the kind of sobs that crash through the body, oceanic, as wide as they are deep. I don't want this to ever happen again. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about how she's one of the unlucky ones who couldn't get away in time. I don't want to change her, to make her something harsh. But she's changing in front of me already. Her eyes are greener, her hands chapped from wiping tears. Her hair matted so the wind hisses through it. I give her what she wants. Her hair so long it took hours to braid that I spun around my palm so many times, now a fistful of copperheads. Wild, dancing. They won't even let me near her. I make her skin as thick as armor and as rough as gator hide, to ward off the fingers that catch her unaware, to ward off my fingers. I cut grooves into her cheeks so that her tears have a riverbed. She moves differently, swaying, unsteady. The bottoms of her feet slide across the ground. I make her frightening. A glance would turn you perfectly still, stony. But I also give her wings, great divine wings that burst from her shoulders, burst from the skin I used to touch, shade the neck I used to kiss, the down feathers as soft as fingertips. I give her wings so she can never go near the ocean again. So she can fly away from danger, protect herself, as if she could protect herself. I make her more, too much. The greater the presence, the greater the menace. Together we make a beast out of her, a myth. I try to love her anyway. I run my fingertips over her skin, trying to heal and undo the trespasses, feeling every hard scale, set into her body like gemstones. She glows under my touch where she used to flush in excitement. She now gleams like she's being polished. I try to remind her how to love her body. I try to conquer her fear for her, try to take it away and replace it with my fingers, my mouth, the heat of my body. I want to warm her, cold to the touch. I want her to curl up on me and have her take the warmth there. When she comes, I scan her face, hoping to see a shadow of her former self, to see if she's still there. I cannot look into her eyes. I cannot see her in them. People shatter when they see her and they don't feel any sympathy. She becomes the warning, the omen of transgressions possible in the dark, characters in the stories of heroes. The bones that remain human poke out of the skin like she's been swallowed, misshapening the snake that conquered her, a meal that will last months. My father visits maidens as a swan, a bull, as slippery rain, and I think there cannot be that much gratification in it. I ask him about the sea god, the storm that washed my love away, and my father shrugs. He does as he does. His voice is dismissive as distant thunder. He doesn't want to get involved. This is the same man who swallowed my mother whole out of fear of challenge, of confrontation. I feel the darkness creeping in, of being back in his body, back in his skull, trying to dig my way out of his apathy. I do not go down to visit my uncle. It is not easy to remove the head of a living, breathing reptile, of something that can live so much longer and with so much more instinct than a human. It's hard to remove the head of something that has to survive. It takes Perseus more than one blow. His blade is too blunt, the edge glancing off of her skin. Glowing emerald from exertion. He cuts her wings first, separating the joint from the tissue, feeling the snap and uprooting the meat as he throws her right wing into the raging sea. She tumbles down several feet, struggles to not hit the water, screaming, hissing, her mouth red with blood. The head takes more effort, 3 chops to the back, and he finally snaps to the scales. He stabs the tip, using every muscle he has, every muscle he can, to kill her. The steel severs her spine, and the head separates. He needs a paring knife to liberate the skin from the skull. When my brother hands me the head of Medusa, I hold it to my chest. Her hair, once crackling with life, now limp, flesh already beginning to peel from the vertebrae and rattle like ripe fruit from a pit. He crows of his prize fairly won. He doesn't understand why I care. He considers it a gift. I press her lips to mine to remember. I spend 10 days carefully pulling each curved rib, every spurred bone, and threading them to my shield. I have to uncarve the fortress I helped build, to pry open her jaw, unhinging it, and sticking wires to the parts of her that still seem human, so she's always with me. Her teeth nick my skin, and the poison numbs my fingers, my wrists swell. I sew on. I feel closest to them, mortals, when I work with my hands. She remains the thing I crafted, the thing I made and allowed to be made. Her eyes never die, and she protects me where I could not protect her. I wear her because I believe her, because I didn't save her, because making her change seemed like the easiest accommodation to expect. I'm still a hero's goddess after all. Everything is a challenge, a prize to be won or lost. On sleepless nights, I scream at her exposed jawline, the meat worn away with time, the scales so deep they cut into the bone, creating a lush patina on the relics of my lover, and I wish she had looked at him. I have so many words, so many things she should have done, and she cannot shout back at me. I wish it had been her returning the heads of Perseus, Poseidon, and all the others, giving their heads to me like sacrifices, trophies I could line my temple with, their mouths slack and eyes destroyed by crows. Perseus laughs at my tribute. You want to make them pay, but to not be a debt collector. This from a man who couldn't look a woman in the eye. Thank you.
What was that?